Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Transfer Deadline Day here on Newcastle Fans TV. I never thought I'd say this. This could be the busiest, the busiest Transfer Deadline Day here ever in terms of Newcastle United. We've had so many people say, I've never seen a transfer deadline day like this or a transfer window like this. It's just been absolutely insane. And this morning when I woke up, it's still insane. We have to talk Hugo Ekitike. That is the first name on the list. The Rennes striker, the Reims striker, however you want to pronounce that football club, it looks like a deal has been done. £25 million plus add-ons seems to be the deal that has been done for Newcastle United to get the striker in. If you can remember a couple of weeks ago, even asked Fabrizio Romano two weeks ago, is this deal close? Is it going to get done? And he said, never, it could happen. Newcastle at the minute, it's not as close as it wanted to be, but it's certainly a deal that can be done. It can be structured very, very soon. And it has been done very, very soon. Ekitike is potentially on his way. There is a bit of a time race because we've got 13, 14 hours left of the transfer window. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable to get this player in. 8 goals and 18 attempts so far this season. He's certainly the man in form. 2 assists as well. Only 19. Now, this is a player for the future. We've got Callum Wilson. We've got Chris Wood. Ekitike on the way. 19 years old. He could be at Newcastle for 10 years if everything goes according to plan in terms of the long-term vision of Newcastle United. But it's absolutely brilliant stuff. And what a tweet to wake up to this morning from Keith Downey when he's seen that and you go, Ekitike is coming, thinking, I'm liking the sound of this day already. And get your comments and we'll get as many as we can out this morning. I'm going to be on for the next 20 minutes or so. You mean Ekitike? The Newcastle striker. I don't know about that, John. Morning, Paddy. I'm way too excited for the day. Yes, I'm excited. I'm so excited. It's ridiculous how excited I am for transfer deadline day. I'm never this excited for transfer deadline day because it's never been good enough. Ronald says these owners are definitely making a statement this morning. Of course they are. They've made a statement throughout the whole window. 115. Let's get this right. £115 million could be spent in this window already if Ekitike comes through the door. 115. And we're probably not even done there. We'll talk about some of them a little bit later on. Bring it on. Toon Family says Barney Rubble. John just says might be the talent, the new talent we are looking for, the raw talent. I think that's a really good point, John. He is a raw talent. He's got nothing to prove. Just go out there, play your football. Show Newcastle United fans how good you are. That's how I'll be saying to Hugo Ekitike. Got to be a little bit patient with him. But we've got Chris Wood, who's obviously Premier League proven as well. Callum Wilson, we know how good Callum Wilson is as well. So it's just looking very, very rosy at the minute in terms of strikers. Steve says we need players out the door as well. I'll mention that a little bit later on because of Chris Waff from the Athletics being on this morning, and he's kind of given us a list of ins and outs that potentially Newcastle fans can anticipate later on today. Trul says best window ever. Ronald says never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. Toon, I know, absolutely incredible. Imagine what he can do in 10 years, says Dylan. Wow, how many goals could he end up with? We'll have to wait and see. But let's not put too much pressure on the lad. He still hasn't signed just yet, unfortunately. But Ekitike seems to be the one that is gathering more momentum. Pete Grace has just put out a tweet in the last 5-10 minutes saying that this is getting very, very close. Obviously, need to do a medical, need to agree personal terms. Personal terms shouldn't be an issue with the richest football club in the world. It shouldn't be. I still can't get used to saying that. We are the richest football club in the world. But yes, Ekitike, that seems to be nearly there. Matt Targett's the next one on my list. The Aston Villa fullback. It looks like it's going to be a loan deal. Now, what do you all think of a loan deal for Matt Targett? Excuse me. We mentioned it last night with Ketch. He says this is a deal that he could see getting done, but wasn't too thrilled on the idea. Doesn't seem to rate him over Manquillo. Sam Milner was kind of also agreeing that Manquillo and even Jamal Lewis, he wouldn't give up on Jamal Lewis. And Matt Targett, listen, he's got experience, got Premier League experience. He's played at Aston Villa for the last couple of years. He's got a good cross on him. Obviously, Steven Gerrard doesn't fancy him for whatever reason. He brought in Lingard from Everton, which I think is probably a good bit of business for £25 million. But I don't think it's a bad bit of business on loan with an obligation to buy or an option to buy. I don't think it's that too bad. You're potentially looking at a new full back four at Newcastle now. You're looking maybe Matt Targett left back, Dan Burn, who we'll mention very, very shortly, Fabian Schär, right centre half, sorry, and then Kieran Trippier. That looks a lot more stronger than Kieran Clark, Matt Ritchie, and Jamal Lascelles. It does. It already does, and that gives you a better chance. So I actually think it's not a bad bit of business. Let's see what you said. Absolutely the best window, says Najenga. John says loan deal is a good with an option to buy. Steve says that he's a proven Premier League defender. It's always an upgrade. Of course it is. You know, we haven't been shopping for defenders or shopping for fullbacks, bar Jamal Lewis, until this transfer window's come on, since we've got Kieran Trippier. It's a really good bit of business. I honestly feel that he can just go into that back four, and I'm not necessarily going to be the best left back ever we've seen at Newcastle, but he can be solid enough to keep Newcastle in the division, surely. And I think that's how we've got to look at it from a Newcastle fan point of view. Defensively, I think he's not too bad. I think he could improve, but he has nicked in with a couple of goals for Aston Villa as well. And we need crosses in the box. If Chris Wood, I still expect Chris, even with Ekitike coming in, I still think Chris Wood will play in the next couple of games. I think Chris Wood will be the one that you'll see will start the next couple of games at least. And you need crosses in the box for him. Who's going to cross us? Kieran Trippier, Matt Targett. It kind of all makes sense. Let's have a look at some more comments. Kevin says, I'm only too excited. I've only been up since 3 a.m. here in Canada. Fantastic, Kevin. Hope you enjoy everything that we've done today. Hope we'll get a lot of silence. Eldon says, this is just the beginning. Next month, Newcastle going all out. I won't be surprised if they'll be fighting for top 6 next season. We need to stay up. All these fantastic transfers coming in, but we need to stay up. That's the most important thing. We don't stay up. God knows how many of them will still be there in the Championship. I don't think anybody fancies Millwall away. Chris says, good signing, a more attacking-minded left-back so Dummett can revert back to his usual centre-back role. Not a bad idea. Dummett can potentially play both, which is a good thing. And you might have to if injuries happen throughout now to the end of the season, but he's reliable enough. I think a lot of people have thought he didn't have the best of games against Rafinha against Leeds last week, but considering he's been out for so long, he's only played a handful of games, playing against Leeds as best player, one of the informed players in the Premier League. I didn't think he did too bad. I think he only had 1 or 2 chances on goal. You've got to kind of look at it from that as well. Let's have a little look. Aston Villa 26 goals conceded. We have 43. Aston Villa have a better defence and a better goalkeeper than Newcastle currently, in my personal opinion. But hopefully the experience on either side will help Newcastle, not letting so many crosses that are down the side. Do you think we're setting up with wingers and 3 at the back, says John? I don't think so. I still think it'll be 4 at the back. I think the interesting bit will be midfield, and we'll touch on about that very, very shortly. But I still think it'll be 4 at the back. I still think Eddie Howe likes it. I think if you go back to 3 centre halves, I thought that was really, I don't know, depressing at times, shall we say. I remember some games, I think we played Chelsea at home, and we had the 3 centre halves, the 2 wing backs, and then the 3 centre midfielders. It just didn't look right. It just did not look right. Graham says, I'm starting to believe we can stay up after this win. I still expect more to come in today, especially a striker. Graham, Hugo Ekitike is on his way, my man. He is on his way to Newcastle. Hopefully he gets done at some point today. And Barney says we need good crosses for Wood as he already becomes a passenger. Hopefully he doesn't become a passenger, because he actually has a lot of good things about him in terms of holding the ball up, bringing players into play. Matt was very impressed with him against Leeds. I thought he was okay. I don't think he was man of the match how Matt described him, but I still think he did a good job considering the circumstances. But at the minute, Matt Targett loan with an option to buy, so it means he can't play against Aston Villa on the 13th. Newcastle, of course, play Everton. It's a huge, huge game of football now. A week tomorrow. It's going to be the longest week of my life. I think a lot of Newcastle fans, really, really want to go to that game tomorrow, but we'll have to wait another week. It might actually do us the world of good, get those players in, get them used to the surroundings at St James's Park. The next one, Jesse Lingard. Right, Jesse Lingard. For reasons that I'm sure you've all been made aware of in the last 24 hours, there might be a possibility that Jesse Lingard might have to stay at Manchester United due to circumstances with the current Manchester United forward, which I'm not going to go into. So it does seem that Jesse Lingard could potentially still be at Manchester United. It's a 50-50 one. According to David Ornstein from The Athletic, He spoken to Ralph Rangnick this morning to try and see if they can get any deal done, try and persuade him to go to Newcastle. He's on the bench, a bit like Donny van de Beek is on his way to Everton, just getting announced on Sky now. He's on his way for a medical for Everton. It does seem that it could be just one or the other due to the circumstances in the last 24 hours. However, you never know. You never know. Maybe Manchester United think, actually, no, we don't actually need to use Lingard that much. We can get a bit of money from rather than money than the player staying. So that'll be interesting to say the least as well. £12 million survival bonus is not going to happen now. Newcastle will not put £12 million to Manchester United if Newcastle stay up. They're looking at a lot less than that. I've seen a rumour potentially £5 million would probably be the most Newcastle would do. I think that's probably the most I would do if I was Newcastle United. I think you don't want to be giving clubs money that you're staying up, or a ridiculous amount of money. And I think there's got to be a bit of common sense. If Jesse Lingard, say, scores 5 goals and makes, say, 10 appearances and Newcastle stay up, then fair enough. You know, we've still got 18 games left. But if you're asking, if he plays one game, gets injured, but Newcastle still stay up and you have to pay £12 million, I just don't think it makes sense. But he did so well at West Ham last year. Only 4. I think he's only started 4 games for Manchester United in all competitions. He has scored against Newcastle, of course he has this season at Old Trafford. So it does seem that it's going to be an interesting one. I think this could go right to the end of the deadline. You might hear stuff this afternoon, one way or the other. But let's just see. He actually played with Dan Burn at Birmingham, and there's been rumours that he's spoken to him about a potential move. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Let's see what you've got to say next. 2Man892, been dreaming since October that we have owners who are investing in the club. Don't want to wake anyone wins about anything else NUC related with an earshot. Mate, I have skills. I will hunt you down. Well, don't hunt anybody down. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. We're all happy. We're all happy at the minute. Ben says Lingard next, hopefully. You reckon Dembele deal will happen? I have to be honest. I've heard absolutely nothing about Ousmane Dembele coming to Newcastle. Nothing. I've heard tiny things about Paris Saint-Germain. I've heard other people say that he's definitely going to a Premier League club, and obviously you look who's got money. Newcastle have got money. Manchester City have got money. Chelsea have got money. Are Man City and Chelsea desperate for a striker? City are. Chelsea possibly not. Did City spend much in January? Not really. So I can understand where people have made that mark in terms of going for Newcastle. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. But I could be wrong. Could be completely wrong. I'm not an ITK. I'm just a fan. See what happens. I'm not convinced with Dan Burn and Chris Wood signing. We're going to mention Dan Burn in a second. And plus, our set plays were big for us with the height gained and also free kicks from Trippier and Ekitike. Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. Anything on Dean Henderson? We'll quickly mention this one. Nothing really mentioned this morning. There was a strong possibility last night that this could be a loan deal. Manchester United happy for Dean Henderson to go on loan. He wants to go out on loan to a club in the Premier League, ideally. Championship doesn't really interest him because he has played Premier League matches for the last couple of years now. But again, nothing, pretty quiet on that this morning. So we'll have to see on that one. I don't think it's a priority, but I wouldn't be against signing if you listen to the video that we did yesterday with Ketch. Carlos or Botman. Well, I think this all links with the centre half, so we'll bring in the Dan Burn. We're just waiting for an announcement. He's had his medical, £11 million up front with 2 million add-ons. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, £11 million up front, 2 million add-ons, £13 million altogether for the deal. Brighton wanted 12 to 15. Newcastle had 2 bids rejected. The first is £7 million, the second is £10 million with bonuses. So it seems that it's very, very close. Dan Burn will be that left centre half where you would have probably thought it might have been Sven Botman earlier on in the window and Diego Carlos. I think even as early as last week, there was still a strong possibility Diego Carlos was still going to be in a Newcastle shirt. He was going to be in this shirt, but he's not. It looks very unlikely. I don't think it's the worst thing that Botman and Carlos aren't coming in, and I'll explain why. Massive, massive amounts of money. You're looking 40, 50 million euros at least to get them both out. If they don't sign now and say Newcastle stay up, you could potentially save them 20 million euros for the pair of them, and you could have both of them in. And you've got to remember, there's a lot of players that are probably going to be leaving Newcastle soon as well, and probably defenders, and we'll mention that we'll mention that next few minutes. I just think it's a bit of a gamble, but you're getting someone with Premier League experience in Matt Targett, Premier League experience in Dan Burn, Premier League experience in Kieran Trippier, with a Fabian Schär or Jamal Lascelles. That could be enough. That could just be enough. It's going to be tight, but it puts a lot of pressure on our attacking players to make sure they keep on doing the job. So that's how I'm looking at it anyway. So it should be very, very interesting to say the least. But Carlos, Botman, could you imagine them two? Could you imagine them two in the summer? Newcastle fans be thinking, we've just got two prime Jonathan Woodgates back at Newcastle. That'd be absolutely brilliant. Chris says, Lingard is a goal scorer. If you want goals, you have to pay up. How much do you pay up, go Chris? £12 million? Apparently Manchester United rate this guy £50 million. Play him. Man United are crap at the minute. Do you think we might test deal with detail for Botman? I'll be surprised, but nothing surprises me in football. Take that what you will. Happy to pay £12 million for Henderson and Lingard. Loans for Henderson and Targett. Take over contract for Lingard. Done deal. Can't wait for the Everton game, says Ben. Yeah, Newcastle got a game in 8 days. Can't wait. I've never been so happy to be knocked out of the FA Cup because I'm so happy that we don't have to play an FA Cup game probably before 2 huge games at St James's Park. Striker and another centre half, I would be ecstatic, says John Iola. So throwing a midfielder and a left back into the next dream world. Yes, I think that's what a lot of people are saying as well. Will says Gravenberch to Newcastle. I'm not too sure on that one, I have to be honest. Burn has a shooter by local lad. Let go as a kid, then return to almost 15 mil could be a good omen. Hey, any Geordie's welcome at Newcastle United. That's all I'm saying. You know, you can hear the chant now. Dan Burn, he's one of our own. That's all I'm saying right now. Other potential incomings, obviously, we've mentioned Dean Henderson. That wasn't a possible one. We're not too sure on Zapata. Everyone yesterday in the comments were saying Zapata. I've heard Zapata, €40 million. Zapata. It looks like they've gone Ekitike over Zapata. That's probably what it's come down to. And that's what Newcastle have gone with. I still think Newcastle played at this an absolute blinder in terms of Ekitike. And I'll tell you why a little bit, because it seems like Ekitike was one of the first strikers that Newcastle were looking at and wanted to buy. They didn't get him. They thought, you know what, we'll wait and we'll come back into that. And now it seems that they've seen West Ham stiff around, said, well, we'll pay a certain amount, and they've kind of gone, well, this is what we want. And they've gone, well, actually, do you know what? We'll go back in, we'll put that offer, and we'll get the deal done. So I think it's actually really, really sensible as well. Outgoings, now this is interesting because Chris Waugh from The Athletic, if you haven't, please go to The Athletic. They've got some fantastic articles, and Chris Waugh, he is the man in the know in terms of Newcastle. He knows a hell of a lot, along with David Ornstein, who knows even more than everybody put together in terms of football and transfers as well. I would put him on par with Fabrizio Romano, who we interviewed a couple of weeks ago. Outgoings, Freddie Woodman going to Bournemouth, and he needs to play football. He needs to play football. I don't see Freddie Woodman ever being Newcastle's number one ever again, if I'm honest. Not that he was so bad in the first 3 or 4 games of the season. I just don't see it happening. I think he needs games. I think championships is his level at this minute in time. And I think if you can get him going at Bournemouth, say get promoted, and if Bournemouth can put in a good offer in the summer, I think Newcastle do that deal. Because I don't think he'll be Newcastle's number one in the long term, in my opinion. But stranger things have happened in football. Kieran Clark has been mentioned potentially to be leaving this window. There are championship clubs interested in him, and maybe it's the right time for Kieran Clark to go. I think he's been a fantastic servant for Newcastle United. I really, really do. I think he's been brilliant for Newcastle for the majority of his spell. He's had a difficult season. But Kieran Clark and Jamal Lascelles shouldn't have been the partnership to start this season. It shouldn't have been. Let's be honest. They were the partnership that started the 2016-17 season. It's now 2022. Should never have been that. So I think potentially that I do feel a little bit sorry for him. So Kieran Clark, he's number one. Jeff Hendrick, potentially very, very close to joining Middlesbrough down the A19 to the Borough with Chris Wilder, who is doing a fantastic job with Middlesbrough, really, really impressing everybody in the Championship, in the playoffs. Jeff Hendrick needs to play football. He can barely just about get on the bench at Newcastle. It just hasn't worked out for him. I can remember him scoring at Wolves this season. And I'm thinking, wow, Jeff Hendrick's just scored for Newcastle. it just hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. He has scored a couple of goals for Newcastle, but unfortunately, it's just one of those deals that just hasn't materialised as well as what we would have thought of. So there's another player potentially leaving Newcastle right now. Another player that we've heard rumours about is Dwight Gale. Now, Dwight Gale, we know that Dwight Gale is kind of just there to sit on the bench, which is a bit unfair. I think it's a bit unfair, Dwight Gale sitting on the bench. I just think it's so unfair now. I don't think he should have signed a new 3-year deal at Newcastle, but I think he was almost forced to. I don't think he won a championship. He's seen that at a Premier League club, even though it was Newcastle, we're offering him a deal. I think he should have just said, no, I want to play football. But if Ekitike comes in, then Newcastle will probably let Dwight Gale go. Now, if I was Blackburn Rovers, if I was any club hovering on promotion, I'd be knocking and screaming down the door and saying, get me Dwight Gale. Just get me Dwight Gale. And Dwight Gale could be the difference of promotion or not promotion. He will score goals at the championship. He's a championship striker. He's not really a Premier League striker, but he will get you goals in this level. Simple as that. So there's another one potentially that you can see there. Let's have a look at other comments. If Carlsberg done transfer windows, yes, says Kevin as well. I'd rather get a hot Hungary European striker than a West Ham reject. Andy Carroll, remember him? Spurs and Gunners must be crying in a dark corner right now. Love to know what Arsenal fans think of everything that's going on, especially with Bruno Ramirez signing yesterday. Bloody hell. They must be thinking, my God, Newcastle are here to do business. If they stay up, Newcastle could be above Arsenal. Where are Arsenal playing? Arsenal were on the verge of letting Eddie Nketiah coming to Newcastle until they changed their mind because they're letting Aubameyang go into Barcelona, but they still need another striker because Lacazette's also at the end of the season, and the other striker they've got, Florian Balogun, is on Middlesbrough on loan. Arsenal are in a mess at the minute. They really are. They need a striker. They wanted Vazovic, but he's got Juventus. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Let's have a look. Thoughts on Matt Targett Jams? I've just said I think it's sensible. Potentially a good bit of business, loan with an obligation or an option to buy. Not too bad at all. Imagine getting this kind of interaction on Sky Sports News, man. Having said that, you're not Joe Wilson. Cheers, mate. No. We'll move on. Ben says, Matty Longstaff to go out on loan. Yeah, I think this one would make sense. Look, Matty Longstaff needs to play games. I think a championship move would be good for him. Maybe top of League One, Barcelona, of course. God, they're a mess at the minute as well, aren't they? Matty Longstaff, yeah, didn't work out at Aberdeen for whatever reason. I don't think he played a handful of games. I don't think he started many games at all. Wrong club, wrong time, might have been. Just maybe needs to play at a club that he knows he's going to get games. Maybe he prefers English football, knows what he can do at England, Championship League One level, but he needs to play games. There's no point of rotting on the under-23s. He needs to be playing games, and he's too good for the under-23s. So be interesting to see what happens there. Jordan's down south. 40. Newcastle are massive. Come on, 40. This is what I like to hear. We need to get you on the channel very, very soon. Any updates on Lingard, Henderson? Just for anyone that's missed it, Lingard very much 50-50 due to stuff that you would have heard yesterday. Jesse Lingard might be needed at Manchester United, which I'm not going to go into too much of. But again, wouldn't rule it out at this minute in time. He wants to talk to Ralph Rangnick about pushing this loan move through. So it just depends on the situation with the player that I'm not going to mention. Dean Henderson, again, very quiet this morning, but we don't know what the issue, what's going to happen there. Potentially could happen, but at the minute, I would say it's probably unlikely at this moment in time unless something significant happens. Ekitike, greater breaking quickly suits us. Yeah, Bruce for Sunderland return. That would be interesting. Ekitike looks like a real handful. He really, really does. Big lad. Big lad. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3" as well. So, yeah, this could be something very, very interesting as well. I'm just thinking of other outgoings potentially that could happen. Sean Longstaff, I don't think will go. I know he's got 6 months left in the deal. At the minute, hasn't signed a new deal, but it would be interesting to see what happens. Look, I think on the balance of it, you know, Newcastle are here to do a lot of business. You know, a lot of people say Newcastle can bring up to 5 new players today. I think it'll be somewhere between 3 to 4 most. I think you're looking Burn, Ekitike, and Targett. I think they'll be the 3 players potentially, and maybe one more. But I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen this, right? And I know it's a load of rubbish, right? But I think a lot of Newcastle fans have been thinking, have you seen that Isaac has been seen in Newcastle this morning? I've not seen that. I don't think it's true. I think everyone's trying to get me on. Not happening. Not happening. I can see a surprise saying last minute, Connor Cody. Connor Cody. Now, this would be interesting. £25 million was linked in the newspapers yesterday. I don't think that'll be enough to even get Wolves out of bed. He is Wolverhampton Wanderers at the minute. He is their best centre-half by a country mile. He is the leader of the pack, if you like, at Wolves. So I can't see it happening. I think it would take a ridiculous offer for Connor Cody to come to Newcastle. I don't think he would necessarily think, oh, I don't want to come to Newcastle. I just think he's that loved, that adored at Wolves. And Wolves are a rich club as well. I know Newcastle have got money, but Wolves are very, very wealthy as well. He must be on a good wage there. I just don't see it. And why would he leave Wolves right now? Not necessarily at the summer, but why Wolves right now? I personally think, for me, Wolves have got a good chance of getting Europa Conference, maybe Europa League. They're in the battle for the Champions League places this season. I don't think they're going to finish top 4, top 5, but they're having a really, really good season. They're not playing European football this year, so they're playing one game a week. We'll see what happens. Let's have a little look. 40 thoughts on Jamal Lewis development if Targett comes in. Yeah, someone maybe to look up to and go, this is what you maybe need to improve on. Jamal Lewis, I think, could be Newcastle's main left back in the future. He was bought for a reason. He's still young enough, and he was playing well until he was up to his injury. Eddie Howe, I think, can get a tune out of him. Steve Bruce couldn't, but Steve Bruce isn't a very good football manager at the Premier League level. So I'd like to see it happen, Jamal Lewis, but I don't know. I'd like to see Jamal Lewis be the Newcastle #1 left back. But I think Matt Targett's going to be brought into play straight away. So Jamal Lewis be thinking, oh, I've got some work on my hands here. Where does that leave Matt Ritchie? You know, Matt Ritchie's probably thinking, maybe can I engineer a move this window? Can I potentially even get out on loan? Maybe go back down south. His family lives down south. We spoke to Catch yesterday. You know, there's nothing that's really been mentioned. It's just my personal view on this. Maybe Matt Ritchie could think, maybe I could get out of Newcastle now, at least on loan, and maybe, you know, get a move down south. He's been heavily linked with Bournemouth for the last God knows how many years. He's a Portsmouth fan. Can't see him dropping down 2 divisions, but who knows? Who knows? I'd see the last couple of few comments as well. It's a Diop. Yeah, I don't see that one happening in this window. I'd love to put a last bid in for Botman, says Aaron. Again, love to see Botman at Newcastle. Really, really would. Cody isn't even the best English half. Be interesting to see. Peter Rodden-Wingy. Never Peter Rodden-Wingy. I thought he was really good for West Brom. Really, really good for West Brom, but I don't think he's going to be at Benton. But yeah, we're going to wrap things up here. This has been the morning roundup of the transfer window in terms of everything Newcastle. Make sure you keep an eye on all our socials. There will be a video later on this evening for you all to enjoy of every deal that gets done. We will bring you all the deals here at Newcastle Fans TV. Who we're going to see? Is Hugo Ekitike coming? I think he is. Is Matt Targett coming on loan? I think he is. Is Dan Burn going to be signed? I think he will. Jesse Lingard, not 100% sure. Dean Henderson, not sure. But it's just so exciting. Could there be somebody else that we've not even spoke about for the last half an hour? That could be at Newcastle United. It'll be interesting to see. Like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll see you all later on today.